So we can basically
In that case, it makes sense to refuse all three.
Yeah, if we just, what we can do is, if we're ready to move forwards, then I can propose the officer recommendation, nobody has to second that, and then it will automatically fall, and then somebody can propose that we reject the application, somebody can second that, and we can vote on that, and then it's back over to the applicant. Yep. So Can I just clarify, though, that if you go down the second route of being minded to refuse, that you need to also give us a steer around the reasons, the planning reasons for which you would be wanting to go down that route, but also that this then needs to come back the next time with worked up reasons for refuse, because it would be going against officer recommendation, needs to come back, it needs to have the cooling off period and needs to come back, at which point you can either still go with the reasons for refusal or you could reconsider. And I think the reasons to refuse is that an applicant should be held to their planning applications. It's Guy. But into the mic.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, bad brain day. I had one question, now I have two, so I'm just going to get through them quickly. But in regards to what was just said, the cooling off period clause, is that an absolute requirement, or is that a suggestion? Is it guidance?
As in, is it standing orders, or is it constitutional, or is it convention?
Exactly. Would it be unlawful not to go through that process, I suppose?
It is council policy, and therefore we would be in breach of our own policy, and as such, I believe that would certainly breach legal principles around expectations. Because basically there's therefore a legitimate expectation that you follow the policy, and if you therefore don't do that, you're in breach of natural justice. But that's not legal advice because I'm not a lawyer.
Before we sue her.
I nearly was, but that was my reading of it too. Thank you.
Lorraine.
The bottom line is the residents were promised something under the Metro Bus scheme, and 10 years down the road, they have not been mitigated against for the said scheme, and that is it. I don't think that's illegal for us to say we therefore reject the application. And that's what I'm going to do. Are we allowed to vote now? What's the voting, Chair?
We can. So what we're going to do is, so I'm going to move the officer recommendation to approve, and if anybody would like to second that, they can, or you could not. And if nobody does, then that falls. So I'd like to move the officer recommendation to refuse. Do I have a seconder?
To refuse, yeah.
No, to grant, rather. Ugh, I'm tired. So, okay, so that falls because we don't have a seconder. So therefore, do we have a motion to refuse? Who's going for it?
Oops, sorry. I have a motion to refuse the officer recommendation.
Thank you very much. Guy, were you wanting to second that? Was that your arm waving, or?
Yes, Chair. It's what I wanted to make sure of was how that motion to refuse works. I'm happy to second. I'd really like to, because I really want to see it refused. If there's an issue around legal expectation, and we have to follow that process, that was my reading of it. I was very surprised when the committee started taking that process as guidance. I was more surprised with subsequent developments around how that process is used, but bearing in mind this committee, I just want to be absolutely reassured that what we would be sending officers away to do is on the basis that we wish to refuse the scheme, and we wish for officers to clarify in evidential terms the reasons for that refusal, i.e. not to come back with another report forming another balanced view, not to that's the direction of steer.
And to be clear, it's to refuse the application to remove conditions rather than refuse the scheme. It's
Oh, if only, Chair, but no, historically speaking, yes, to refuse the application in front of us.
Sorry, could I just say in response to that, we still need the reasons from you, the planning reasons why you wish to refuse it, because we can only work up those reasons for refusal with your steer. And also to say, what comes back to you will still have to be the full planning officer's recommendation?
It doesn't have to be a recommendation to approve still. If the steer of the committee is to refuse, it can come back with an officer recommendation to refuse. And I'd like it to come back with an officer recommendation to refuse.
But that would,
Indeed, I think it will still have to be the whole picture and on planning merits. And yeah.
Into the mic.
Chair, without treading on anyone's toes, but because I wanted to see where this phrase cooling off period came from, because I remember when this was first brought in, and that's categorically not how it was presented at the time. There's a really critical difference between giving a committee an opportunity to come to a different judgment, which is arguably what cooling off period could be taken to mean. That is very different from going away and asking officers to produce a completely different view. Is again very, very different from asking officers to lay out in very clear planning terms the somewhat occasionally chaotic nature of the discussion and the debate within the committee. However, looking at the scheme again, stage 5 of that process is really quite clear. So we're at the point where a motion has been moved in line with the officer's recommendation. That wasn't seconded and it fell. The next stage would be for the chair to move a motion to defer, which does not, if that doesn't have a seconder, that too will fall. And then the chair may seek a motion from the committee, which doesn't require a deferral at all, doesn't require a break. We could make a decision to refuse right now based on what's just been discussed. So if I may, Chair, I think given the situation we're in, we may wish to, if the chair wished to make a motion to defer, see if anyone wants to vote for it, we could then move to a motion to refuse based on Councillor Hernchen's motion, which I would still be more than happy to second.
I'm more than happy to make a motion to defer.
Yeah, and I vote away.
Exactly. So would anybody like to second the vote to defer? No. Okay, that falls. So thank you very much. So therefore we have Katja's motion to refuse, seconded by Guy. I'm going to take a vote on that. I'm going to start off with Guy. So it's
Aye.
yes. Lorraine, would you like to refuse it?
what am I saying? I'm in a, I want to refuse this.
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
Sorry, I'm getting confused now. Yes.
Yes. Or,
Can
yeah.
we just,
Hold on. Do you need
can we just step it? I think it needs to be clear what exactly the reasons for refusal are. And
We have been, I think, Simone, we've been really clear on repeat what our reasons are to refuse.
Yeah, put that into the vote.
Can
Yeah.
we put it as part of
We
the
are
vote?
very clear. We are very clear.
It's basically all the, so condition 4, we refuse to lift that because we're not satisfied that adequate mitigation for the loss of trees on the site will be fulfilled without that condition.
Exactly.
Something on those words. The next one,
Fabian, we have been really clear on repeat, and we have this recorded, so you can also watch it back if you require. Fabian, how would you like to vote? Would you like to vote to refuse?
I vote to refuse.
Thank you, Katja.
I vote to refuse.
Thank you, Amal.
I'm going to refuse.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, vote to refuse.
And it's a refuse from me, so that's unanimous. Thank you very much. So that application is refused. Thank you very much. That brings us to an end. Our next meeting is on the 29th of November. Thank you very much.